Hello and welcome to Weekly Open. I think it's working. Thanks to FTX for being our partners. Go to weeklyopen.com/FTX. Trade with zero fees with the FTX app. Go directly from one asset to the other. Thank you to FTX for being our partner. Track your portfolio. Get all that good stuff. Earn yield on your tokens. All those things that you want to do, you can do it with the FTX app. weeklyopen.com/FTX. All right. We're here with everybody. Luke, Don, Josh. We're working a little bit differently today because my system's still kind of wrecked from last week. So it's a slight alteration, but we're here. We're happy to be here. It's the last one with the whole band together. Josh has a lot of work conflicts on Mondays, so this is his last episode. We will miss you, sir. I don't have an applause sound effect on my board, but if I did, I would ring it now. But I'm glad you're here. How you doing?
Good.
Luke?
Yeah, I might be here every now and then, but
okay, there we go.
For the foreseeable future.
Luke, how's it going?
Going well. I'm scared to talk. I think my microphone's been somehow Ledger. I got on a call with you, and now all my tech's fucking up. So if my microphone goes crazy, chat, let me know. But I'll do my best.
Okay, Don, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting here, even though I'm in a largely risk-off stance, I am temporarily quite risk-on. So I need hopium from the duck himself to tell me it's going to be okay, and we're going to take ETH back to 3K plus.
Oof, that's a tall order. But we can try to make it work.
What's the lay of the land, sir?
I mean, right now, and I think we are actually at a really good spot right now where we could make a higher low, right? So we've set a low into support, and then we bounced strongly into resistance. Obviously, a bunch of people got really bullish again into that resistance, even though we're ranging. And then we sold off, and now everyone's like back to like being super cautious and super bearish. But we're actually right on top of support, closed exactly at it, which is usually something that I would try to buy, right? Mm-hmm. The only reason why I'm a little bit cautious still is because I have no idea how the entire Russia-Ukraine situation is going to play out. I have no idea how like the whole situation with stocks is going to play out, because I mean the S&P looks really shit. So it's really tough trading environment. TA wise, I think this is a decent setup where if you're bullish, like there's a setup to be had where you just stop out below the recent lows and then target range high, which is quite aggressive. I'm not entirely sure if I would take it or not. I'm not going to take it right now anyway, just because I don't know how macro is going to play out. But if we didn't have the entire macro situation, this is where I would usually buy and then target range high, which is 60K.
And with a stop in the 46 to 47K, right?
What do you mean? Yeah, I mean,
you might close it at any point.
Exactly. At 46K, if it struggles there, I would close it and then just see what happens after. But like I said, macro situation is kind of tough, so I'm not entirely sure how to play this. And this is just a weekly, right? When you look at the monthly time frames, actually starting to look a little bit rough. We hit support and then bounced and completely erased that entire bounce, and we still have like just a week till the close. So that looks a little bit rough. But yeah, it's on the weekly time frame, and in general, like it's still at monthly support, even though this bounce is shit, still at monthly support, and it is at weekly support. And on the daily time frame, we are kind of back into the range where we started going up hard. So it's not the worst place in the world. Just the problem is that it's pretty tough to analyze politics, at least for me. It's not my expertise. So I just, when it gets too crazy, I just usually try to stand out and let that stuff sort it out first.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of the price action in any market you look at is basically hanging on the thread of the latest Russia-Ukraine news, and every single thing that comes out is like, they're invading, they're not invading, they're invading, they're talking, they're invading, they're not invading. And it's like that's affecting these low time frame charts, so it leaves a lot of leeway to essentially get wrecked off of these technical setups. But Josh, you always talk about how like the news ends up making sense when you start looking at the technicals. Are you trying to trade this technically? Are you looking at it from a just stand off and wait for, Putin to finish deciding what he's doing, or what?
So last week on that perfect, beautiful head and shoulders inverted that we set up for, I took a long, it was 1.5x. Like a good trader, I bought a little bit, hoping for breakout, was going to buy more, didn't get the breakout, got stopped out below the right shoulder like a good trader. It is what it is. I think in a parallel multiverse, we are at 51K BTC and 3,700 ETH. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. Ultimately,
the cookie crumbles. Don, can you hit the 4-hour chart to show that?
Seasonality's not on your side. We're below all trend metrics. Like, this is a reversal stab that just didn't play out. We can blame Russia or rates or the Fed or whoever. But, it's a setup that I thought was worth taking. That's really all it is. So, yeah, it did work. And keep your losses small, keep your winners bigger,
Mm-hmm.
I look forward to Q1 or Q2 rather, which is it's like a millennia away from today in crypto times. But as long as we do not make lower lows in the massive macro range, anything's fair game. But the moment we make lows, we start completing some very ugly cycles with M double top and below the cloud on the weekly. Like, the trend just gets completely wrecked. And then it's like, okay, then everyone's looking, where's support? Support is the last all-time high for everything from like 2018, which is 1,500 or 1,300 on ETH and 18 to 20K on BTC, and that's not a good look. We don't want to go down there. It does resolve the trend though. Like, we're just ranging here, but at least if we break the trend, we break the range, then we know we're probably on our way down.
Mm-hmm. Somebody asked in the chat, how could I possibly be generally risk off but risk on here? And to the point Don made, if you go to the daily like a normal person, essentially I was making a stab that we're making a broad higher low. And I kind of like when these mid time frame patterns fail, because sometimes they help a higher time frame pattern actually set up better. And while I felt like that trade was there that you were talking about, Josh, with the head and shoulders to 49.50K, it just seemed like trying to squeeze a lot of juice out of a small pattern to me. But I started easing into Ethereum in the low 2,800s, and I was buying into the 2,500s. So, just easing my way in here, assuming that it's going to bottom somewhere around this higher low situation. And the real cutoff for me is like probably sub 2,500. It means just go to new lows. The daily ETH levels are closer to like 23, and then I don't know what that weekly was that you were just showing there, Don, but it's
it's weird.
It's a relatively tight range that you can play that as a retest. So it seemed worth a stab for me in case we just maintain that range right there that you just so I didn't know exactly where that would bottom, but all the low time frame price action were just melting down, and I'm like, okay, eventually you're just going to get a bounce off this. Eventually the tensions ease a little bit, and nobody's left but the people that aren't in and want to be in because they're afraid it's going to go up without them. So it seemed worth a stab to me. So even though overall this is not exactly like a trending or healthy chart, I'm willing to take that trade, and my target is maybe 3K, maybe. Like, I'm not seeking a ton there. It's just more of a, see where things go, do it with like over time, get progressively larger as it goes lower, that kind of thing. So that's where I'm at. Luke, how are you looking at things?
I'm having a tough time. Ledger, as you said, it's like, who even knows what the news is now with if the situation's getting worse with Russia, if it gets better. Every single day we get a different headline. The strange thing would be is if you look at the bottom for Bitcoin, Don, you have it up in your chart back in like May through July. So the last two tops have been rounded tops, which are very different from what we've had with Bitcoin in the past. That last bottom was a very different bottom than what we typically have. And if the current bottom kind of shapes up like that, then yeah, that green box you have highlighted, Don, is probably going to be the first area where like I'd be excited to trade. Last week was being the first week that I didn't even have a trade set up because things just look so. Everything's a forced trade right now unless you're patient. So that's how I'm playing it. That's how I'm looking at it.
I like that. One other news item that's worth bringing up that Unrealized Profit brought up in the chat was, and maybe misplaced, but I'll quote it. Do you think the OpenSea hack will affect the Ethereum recovery? And it's a little dangerous to call that an OpenSea hack. OpenSea is claiming it's a phishing attack. I don't think the details are all there, but yeah, there were a lot of NFTs that were stolen, some ETH that was stolen. And it's just one of those things, man. People generally just sign without looking, and they signed some stuff that they shouldn't have signed, and that enabled people to do things that you wouldn't hope that they're able to do. I don't think it has a big effect on the like macro market, just people that got wrecked. Now, it could have a big effect on the NFT market if suddenly people like fear pressing any buttons and they're not going to buy, But I don't think that's a huge impact on like the price of Ethereum personally. What do y'all think?
Ledger, I feel like that's like a good thing though, if they're scared of clicking buttons. Like I don't know when this class of NFT buyer that got in, and apologies to anyone in the chat if they got hacked or phished, but I just feel like it's kind of like a general rule not to click on buttons in your email or all that stuff. And you look at Bored Ape owners that have gotten hacked, you look at the people that just got hacked recently, you have to imagine these people probably got into crypto like middle of last year when NFTs were booming, and they just didn't know any of those rules. And now this is them kind of learning those rules of like, oh shit, I shouldn't just randomly click things. It's a strange thing. Like I thought that was kind of the general rule for everyone, or maybe I'm just super paranoid. Like I never click buttons. I never click links.
The only time I will is if it requires it for some kind of two-factor authentication, double whammy type of situation where it's like it doesn't accept my local authentication. Also, it requires me to click a button in an email, but I'm expecting that email within like 10 seconds of when I essentially triggered it.
Yeah.
If I get a general thing from a company telling me to go sign something or transact, there's no way. I don't care if it comes from the Binance.com or like whatever, Kraken or wherever you trade. Like I just won't click it. I will not click it no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to not click it too, right? Because you get the email.
Pretty easy. I'd say it's the easiest thing.
I mean, like, just think about it, right? You get that email. What you do instead of clicking on that link is you open up the exchange the way you have it saved in your browser, right? And then you check whatever they sent you without clicking on that button. I mean, you don't need to, right? And yeah, not clicking the link is pretty damn easy because, I mean, yeah.
The peer pressure of that link.
It'd be rude not to click it, right? They already went through all that effort to send it to you, so might as well.
Yeah. I one of the best things you can do is absolutely know your URLs, bookmark them appropriately, and then double check them even when you do that. In the sense of you might type it in manually rather than use your bookmark, but then verify that it's also the domain that's in your bookmark. You know what I mean? Like you have kind of that flag that pops up that it'll show the star or whatever, depending on your browser. You just got to be cautious with that stuff. That said, you can still do things to get screwed up, right? Like we've seen some clever attacks. Badger got hacked. You remember that? And it was a front end script on their website that they were on the right website, but then they click, they're like, oh, I need to approve something new. And it ends up that they were inserting malicious JavaScript, causing an approval of something that shouldn't have been. Like, it is a dangerous world out there. It is a dangerous world out there. It is not easy to live on chain. And that's why at the base level, even if you do everything, you still need to kind of Horcrux yourself and protect yourself, be across multiple wallets. Don't die with one wallet getting eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, which opens up the discussion of whether that's actually realistic for the normal person.
It's not. Being on chain is hard.
Yeah, I agree. Is what it is. I mean, we need better custody in crypto. Otherwise, it's just going to be hack. Everyone calls it hack. And with the OpenSea thing, it's also, like you said earlier, I don't think it was a hack. It's probably a phishing thing. But it doesn't really matter to the general public, right? Because everyone that heard about it is going to think OpenSea got hacked. And they're not going to get into... I mean, it's really, really bad. It's like, why, if I heard that and was interested in NFTs, I would not be buying because I'm like, fuck that. I don't want to put Like, let's imagine you can put $500 aside to invest in NFTs, and then you hear that like a bunch of people got hacked for 10,000. You're not gonna buy anything, right? You're just gonna be like, okay, I can spend this money better elsewhere, and it's really, really bad. It's kind of stupid that all these like NFT holders always claim they got hacked, even though I don't think there's many people that got hacked in actuality, and it's hurting the entire space, be that crypto and NFTs. But yeah, it's just easier to say that, and it's less embarrassing, I guess.
Less embarrassing to say you got hacked?
Yeah, other than saying, like, imagine saying, okay, I Googled the exchange that I wanted to go on, and then I clicked the advertised link, which leads to an entirely different website, and I put in my data, and now my stuff's gone. That's a little bit embarrassing. No one wants to say that. It's easier to say, like, yeah.
Yeah, you got hacked, but you really got phished. Like, getting phished and the service you're supposed to be using getting hacked are not the same, and people often equate those. Yeah, I see what you're saying. A lot of people get phished. Phishing is it's easy to fall for. I mean, it takes being around a minute to not trust anything. You know.
Yep.
All right. So I think, is there any other news stuff that I'm missing that's severe, or are we just all basically watching to see what Russia does, which is very annoying, by the way?
I mean, this rates nonsense has also been nonstop, up and down,
Fed
blah, blah,
decisions.
blah. Just get it over with already.
When do we get a new data point on that, Josh? Is it March?
Yes. So it's got a while to go yet. I remember, what was it, last week they were talking about emergency rate hikes, they being the public.
But now we're not, like, we're pricing in a lot now. So I've seen some people saying they essentially think that the market will turn, like tech will bottom and that kind of stuff.
If we get what, 25?
No,
basis points?
basically just with the first hike itself.
Or 50?
Yeah, like, basically just once it exists. If we get a 50-point increase, that might not have that effect.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, what if they hike at 100?
Yeah. But if you have a normal hike, a lot of people basically think that would be the bottom for some of this stuff, and you essentially would have priced in the maximum number of hikes there would be anyway. And there's like 5, 6, 7. There's quite a few that are priced in to date. But it's been fascinating in legacy. Don, you pulled this up. There's this big repricing going on in essentially value versus growth, and that's a direct result of rates. And if your something was at a 50x sales and something else is at a 10x sales, well, the one becomes more expensive, maybe goes to 15 or 20x sales, and the other one goes from 50 down to 30. Like, you can have massive moves just by repricing the multiple, not accounting for anything else. So you're seeing these massive changes with things like PayPal, where they're still at high multiples, even though they're completely bodied. Like
that is insane. That is such an insane chart.
I bought PayPal calls the other day, so I'm in for the dead cat bounce. I'm probably going to get obliterated on the theta, but who cares?
Well, if you're a crypto bear, this is what you want every crypto chart to look like in like 2 to 3 months. Just straight down. Yeah,
this looks. I mean, some crypto stuff does look like it's this is a weekly, so a couple months ago from this. Like, when did it break down? Yeah, right where you're at there, 240, 230.
What do you mean?
Not that one.
I mean, this looks like the ETH chart.
This?
Yeah, like somewhere up there, like when it really broke down. Like, if you look at Atom right now, it probably looks like it's up there. Or if you look at even some of the stuff with relative strength, Atom or AVAX. But Solana's already down 50%, so it's not quite that.
Yeah. 50% so far.
Such a good meme.
I mean, this is nuts, right? Just basically.
That's PayPal. That's not. I mean, it is a shitcoin, but it's a different kind of shitcoin, right? Like, they actually have revenue.
It erased the entire gain since the 2020 March crash. That's like Bitcoin going all the way back to what? Like
10K?
No, it's lower, right? I mean, the March crash went to 4K.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So it's like it's almost Bitcoin back to 4K kind of deal. That's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do with this, because PayPal is pretty cool, right? I mean, people hate on it, but I mean, it works, right?
He's a Fed, get him.
It's Web 2 tech that works fine. It's like fintech, right? And like everybody I know uses Venmo in the South, but their growth patterns for Venmo and PayPal and stuff are still pretty good internationally. Different parts of the U.S. that use these tools, like it's still a decent growth story, but the price is very, very bad.
Yeah. Do you buy this ever? Like besides like just buying random calls, like where do you like?
no respect on my calls.
No, like let's say you want to build like a position, not just like a trade, but you're like, okay, this is like just getting ridiculous because it's down from 300 all the way to 100. Where do you actually think PayPal is like a stock to own?
You have to look at their actual revenue multiples and valuation stuff. So if it becomes a cheap stock and it kind of turns to value, which is also what's happening to Facebook, by the way, because Facebook still prints money, but it's becoming cheap because it's also Rekt. It's Meta now, or maybe it's still FB.
Is it?
Do FB.
I believe they changed their ticker.
All right,
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Do Meta. Yeah. That's not.
Is that?
That's not.
No, that's not it.
I was
Just do FB.
Yeah, it'll pop up. There you go.
Meta platforms. There we go.
Yeah.
Oof.
So if you put this in, this is their forever, ever since they've existed chart, right? It had the erectile formation before, and now it's collapsing.
Erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
You want to see something crazy, Ledger? It goes back to what you were just saying on how some coins almost look like these stock charts, but they haven't broken down yet. Pull up Cardano. It's like an exact replica of what PayPal was doing before PayPal.
Oof.
Oh, wait.
Let's pull it up on Binance.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then if you throw in log, it looks even scarier.
There's so much room there.
Yeah, it sure is.
That's like go to zero type stuff. Well, you can't blame us. I'm pretty sure we were screaming to people that even though it's not financial advice, it's sort of financial advice to just not own ADA at $3.
Yeah, but then again, like ADA has actually been outperforming a lot of other stuff, right? I mean, not recently, but on the way up.
On the way up, for sure. Like this kind of stuff does great, but on the way down, like.
I mean, if you compare this to, I want to see it, how this does against beef. Like it's just ranging.
Yeah, but it's still wrecked. Like if you do that percentage from the top.
Yeah, of course. It's still down.
Like only down 63% on a relative basis, while Ethereum is down 50%.
Yeah, it's tough still.
The chat's now telling us to look at Shopify. I think we might as well do like the 2-day tech to compare to the charts we know. Like this is fascinating, right? Like these were definitely still expensive prices pre-pandemic. Like Shopify was not cheap, but the complete elimination of the COVID pump is incredible. Like this is still a profitable company that's doing well, but how do you do better in e-commerce than what you did post-COVID, right? Like, and that's what's happening. That's what's getting priced.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it was up so much.
Yeah. From
COVID. And now it returning just kind of makes sense, but still.
I think this is the type, if you get, this is a large range, but 300 to 500, just DCA, like forever bag. You're going to get some incredible bottoms in these that are going to have snapback rallies that are like 30%. That's essentially why I bought these calls on Facebook and PayPal is I bought them, I don't know, June or something, I think. I'm not sure. So I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe it'll just be like the bounce takes me back to break even on the calls because I get right. I don't know. But it was worth the gamble. And it was almost like hedging my gold exposure because I got a bunch of gold and gold miner exposure. So like if tensions ease, gold goes down like 2% in a day or something, all this stuff probably bounces hard.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. You actually, you shield gold and it went up quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't know if I give myself
credit for gold.
That's
like a crazy rally. Look at that. That's a 2% move. Wow.
Now this one you truly have to do on the monthly chart to make interesting. But like in a vacuum, as we love to talk about, Josh, like that is a glorious chart.
Yeah, it looks really good. It broke out on the weekly cloud. That's insane.
Yeah, it just might take 5 years to play out to like 3K. But doubling your money in gold or something is not so bad in an environment where, like, what if we have stagflation or something, and no markets make new highs for 5 years at the same time? So
That's valid.
It's a good place to just chill.
Yeah, chilling with my
For
gold
sure.
bars.
I find it so hard to believe that Peter Schiff will eventually be right. There's just no way.
Well, I think he'll outperform. Like, they're outperforming Bitcoin right now as the old gold bugs, but as the VIX tops, I think that's when Bitcoin will play catch up, and it'll be it'll end up outperforming gold, but he'll have his couple months of outperformance, and then it'll be like gold sitting here at 2,200 and won't move for 6 months, and Bitcoin's at 200K or something.
Yeah, I think in general, he's already been so wrong that he can never be right, in a sense. Like,
That's very true.
This is the same with like these people that have been, and I mean, there's a bunch of bigger fund guys that actually trade like this that I'm not talking about, but there's these people on crypto Twitter that talk about like longing since 55 and then stop loss at like 53 and then at 50 and then at 45 and then 40. And it goes all the way down and then bounces, and then they post the way like, okay, I actually called it. I called the bounce. But I mean, you've been wrong so long that it legitimately doesn't matter, right? And I think it's the same with Peter Schiff, right? He's been wrong for more than a decade now. So it doesn't really matter.
Was that a shout out that chimp guy who was bearish?
I wasn't really targeted at anyone specifically, but I mean,
he's a pretty good target though. He was bearish literally the whole way up, and then got bullish, and has been bullish the whole way down. I hate whenever I'm on the same side as that guy. I know that.
Yeah, it's just how crypto Twitter sometimes works. It's super frustrating. I feel like Peter Schiff is basically he's the poster child, right? He's just does his thing and then claims he's been right all along, even though he's been wrong for 10 years. Yeah. And people are going to, like, if gold goes up 50%, people are going to call him a genius for it. But I mean, he's clearly not. It's just been wrong.
Nevertheless, this chart is glorious, is it not? Does anybody not like this chart?
The TA-wise, I think it's amazing.
I like it, and then you realize that gold's only up 10% in the last 10 years. But other than that, technically, yeah, it looks all right. It'll just take 10 years to get another 10%.
Well, that's what my thought. This reminds me, Don, I'm sorry, I'm going to send you down one more rabbit hole. Can you do the Nasdaq monthly and show the 01 tech bubble?
What's this?
Yeah, you need the proper. Nope.
Is that what ticket do you want?
Do NQ.
NQ. Okay.
That's good. Dadgummit. Do
That's
just
NDX.
huh?
Hmm?
Yeah, this is good. That's good enough. That has a 2000 top. That's good. Yeah, NDX. This is even better. And if you go to a monthly on this, these tops take a very long time. So if you set a line at the 2000 top, that is the tech bubble, right? Like a mini total recession, but mostly just a rotation out of tech. Tech was dead. Tech was crap. Tech was the stupidest thing you could possibly be invested in. And then it chewed around that resistance from 2014 to 2016. 15 years afterwards, right? So like it chewed in, look at all those months in that, right? But then it breaks out and look what happens. And I'll throw this off log and put it in, or just do the percentages,
Yeah.
Like that move is gigantic in a market sense, and it's only been 4 years, right? And that has outpaced for a long time. And it was an incredible move after finally, getting above those highs. But it took 15 years to get back to the highs. That recovery, so you lost all your money in 18 months, and then it took you however many years, but then you made 1,600%. So if you actually accomplish, averaging in as it becomes an unfavorable trade, you make money from like buying those dips prior to all-time highs and then getting that price exploration above. Long payoff. Gold's been doing this since 2011 with the same concept as the 2000 to 2014 thing. look at that markup that it had previously, right? Like from 2000, it was at $200 to 1800, and it had to chew through for a long time, a long time after that last run up. And I think it's just in a really good situation to mark up beyond what you anticipate. This is combining the fundamentals of, where is value with just pure technicals. I'm not going to fade that chart.
Yeah, but it's fucking gold. I struggle with gold so much. It's just fucking like I don't know. It just lies around, does nothing. I struggle with that, but I do agree with you. It does look, technically it looks insane.
But I think if Bitcoin ends up being treated as high beta gold, then that's a decent case for Bitcoin too. Some segment of the population, like yourself, is just going to be like, screw this, I'd rather own Bitcoin. But look at that gold. Like, look at gold going crazy. Like, gold's in price exploration. Why is Bitcoin not at all-time highs? I think that question starts getting asked. And, you can debate about rates and all that crap and tell me Bitcoin is growth. The digital gold narrative is probably stronger than any other. Anybody think I'm wrong on that?
Wrong on digital gold? No, I think that's fine. I just think we're so spoiled in crypto. We've seen literally the birth of a new thing that's highly tradable, and its use case is pure spec. And we've seen all these inventions of colored coins and ICOs and NFTs and all this other nonsense that just promotes spec, fast, that so many people come here and they see slow stuff and they just get turned off by it, but they don't understand, like, this is how the world works. Like, crypto is not how the world works when it comes to investing, trading generally. We're just lucky to be here on this earth at this time,
Well, we were lucky up until about 2 months ago.
Yeah, but
now we're in Goblin Town.
Everyone's like, we're down 60%. It's the worst thing ever. We can be down another 50%, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, a lot of us have been here for a long time.
I think we're so due to crab back up. Like,
okay.
I think this is going to prove Don right on his yearly prediction that we're just going to make everyone be in total pain. People are finally flipping bearish at the bottom of the range with a higher low. This seems like the perfect setup for a trend flip to me, and crab all the way back up and piss everyone off.
I was drawing out what ETH could form into, maybe an equilateral triangle. I just lean on chart patterns because we're not trending. So what else are you going to look at, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe a W Sol USD could be an inverted head and shoulders in April. I don't know. But right now, that chart looks hideous.
Yeah, it does. I pray for some of my bags and for ledgers that we actually go up again. But ETHUSD looks so bad to me.
Draw me one of your French coins, Don. Show me show me a chart pattern.
The only thing that I can draw on ETHUSD is we had this massive breakdown, right? And then you can, if you remove everything, what you basically have is this shitty not inverse head and shoulders without the right shoulder, where we broke support and retested it perfectly. I think I said 2 or 3 weeks ago that, if you're not selling 3K, you're kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's where
it went to 3K and then sold off. And what it's doing right now is basically bearishly retesting the previous range high, which makes me nervous, right? Because if this breaks down, I don't think we have any support before 2K. And I think 2K is going to be an amazing buy. If you get anything between 2K and 1.6K, that's insane. Anything before there, I'm just not too excited. But yeah, I'm praying for my NFT bags and for Ledger's bags that I'm wrong and this actually goes back up again. And I think if we do go back up again and this is a higher low, I don't think 3K is going to act as strong resistance again. So I would target 4K if I build a position here. But I'm not going to build a position into resistance on one of the most obvious downtrends after a bearish retest. It's not my style.
Yeah. So the St. Crispin's Day intro was at 2100 ETH. So you're welcome, everybody. And I did risk off at 33K to 3100. So me buying now, part of it is kind of this, there's a safety there, right? If I made that I made that plus 50% or whatever that was from 2100 to 3K, and now I felt a little more comfortable essentially just kind of absorbing the downside as this potentially makes this higher low. But if it fails it, I give back some of the gains, but I'm going to have some risk management, 2,500 or something like that. It's probably where I'll, suck it up and sell the bottom, and then it does it. And then I, buy higher and, whatever it does, you wait for the next trade. But that's essentially my thesis, is that this does have a little bit of opportunity, especially as the narrative is shifted, especially as if stocks bottom, if the VIX tops, if the Russia-Ukraine, like a lot of ifs there. But I don't know. I tend to vote against war. Total invasion doesn't really help very many people. So what are the alternatives? That's kind of the way I was thinking about it.
I mean, it'd be beyond stupid for anyone to start anything akin to a war. I think, if anything, it would have to be ideological. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. And I mean, Putin does have some of that, where he says this is Ukraine is kind of where it all originated from. But I'm not entirely sure if he's willing to throw everything away just to make that happen. So I wouldn't want to bet on war as well. I just don't think it's very, very likely. But then again, it's not my expertise.
Yeah,
it's really hard to judge.
I don't know the politics either too well, but I know all these narratives keep shifting, right? They're talking now about dissidents and all this stuff. And I don't know what the end game is. I have to care. There's too many things in the world going on for me to worry about. But, I can try to trade it. Luke, what's the trade that you're looking at right now? What are you interested in?
Dude, this might be the second time in a row in show history. I just honestly am not excited to trade again. Seriously, what is the, other than upside for Bitcoin? I'd rather get long things. But what am I getting long? There's not an alt narrative that's that exciting. Even if things rebound, I think people are going to be pretty tentative in that scenario. So it's once again, if you're dying to pull the trigger, I'd be buying spot, and it'd be Bitcoin and ETH. Outside of that, obviously the NFT game is always fun. Volumes are down a ton since January, but there's still some NFTs doing well. The MFers are doing well. I don't know. I think it's a great time of year to be playing video games and working out as opposed to trading, to be honest.
Josh,
sign that statement 100%.
You're not wearing your trading gloves today, Josh?
I'm about to put them on because it's pretty cold in here. My electric bill is $300 last month.
What?
$300. That's insane.
Inflation. It's inflation.
That is inflation.
Yeah. Is there anything you're interested in doing, trading, Josh?
Oh, I just think we need to let the chart do its thing, let Russia clear up, rates clear up. We just need certainty. We just don't have enough of it anywhere. And the market's just so hinged on every single word, like you had already said. Either you're getting chopped up through the end of Q1, into the end of taxes and whatever else is going on, or you're just being patient and waiting. That's what I did up until that inverted head and shoulders. Okay, here's finally a trade I can wrap two hands around. If it plays out, great. If it doesn't, fine. It didn't, so I'm just waiting for the next one. Hopefully into Q2, probably an edge-to-edge type of situation if we don't break the range.
I guess if you're going to make an additive bear case, it might be who is the most uncomfy market participant right now? And it's probably the person that hasn't taken either enough or any profit, and then they're trying to figure out what's next. And so they're afraid of further breakdown. So that leads me to believe maybe there's some kind of capitulatory bottom that could occur and spike back down, right, to 2,100 or 1,800 or who knows what. And then that's a really quality long-term low. I'm sorry, I'm only talking in ETH terms. I don't follow Bitcoin.
I don't care about Bitcoin. I don't care about digital gold.
I like utility in my coins, you know what I mean? The internet computer is my thing. Or whatever, it's a world computer.
Yeah, but I mean, I honestly... That's a valid concern, I think, because if you look through who's been kind of making it the last year, it's been a bunch of people in NFTs, a bunch of people that have been chasing the layer ones and all that kind of stuff, and a bunch of really new people, right? And if history kind of taught us one thing, it's that the new people, they see the gains, they get euphoric, they buy more, and then they just don't let go, right? And
they keep buying the dip, the 50% now, whatever.
And at some point, they're going to capitulate. Whether they have or not, I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't really feel like it.
No,
So
bro,
I think
those dormancy flows are going to kick in any day now.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, for me, and I mean, I'm just gonna stick with what I've been saying for so long. It's a macro range, and you should treat it as one. It's easier to trade this kind of stuff when the world isn't just going completely nuts. That's why, like, even though I think there's a few setups to be taken, for example, the one that I showed earlier, you don't really have to. I kind of agree with Luke that the best thing to do is kind of work on yourself, kind of catch up on the hobbies that you've been neglecting, kind of spend some time with your family, friends, whatever. And then, because that's one thing, right? It's really hard to be fully there for the market or like in the market constantly. You need some breaks, and people just don't seem to be able to take breaks.
Yeah.
And why not take a break when it's boring and then be fully there when it actually gets completely crazy again?
Well, you know, we're getting, in Bitcoin terms, we're getting quite close to the length of the prior bear market. Like, it's hard to believe, but essentially, the weeks wise, we are basically living through the latter half of 2018 right now. If you do pure number of weeks, depending on when you mark it, I marked it at the Coinbase top where your red line starts, but if you mark it further back, then it's even more strong. But like pure number of weeks, we are on kind of a 1 year time frame essentially from the top. Now the difference is alts went nuts for like a whole year, or at least on rotation. So maybe it plays out longer or whatever, but purely in a Bitcoin sense, it looks like we are setting up a consolidation or bear market, or, you know, money contracts back to harder assets for maybe 2 years, like twice as long as that one, if you're just like looking at how does this chart compress. And that's something that's hard to think about, right? And people are wondering, could a bear market occur? And the question is more, when will the bear market end? Like, we're fairly clearly in a bear market where the altcoins finally started following on. And that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but for a chart setup of the week, like, I mean, the one that I showed, if you have to take a trade, I mean, that's the best one that I can see on Bitcoin. I'm not going to take it, most likely. Everything else, just even, especially the altcoins, just look garbage to me, like most of them anyway. Don't really see a trade anywhere.
Something else about BTC, we're kind of in that place in the cycle where we're post having honeymoon, like historically. If you pull up the S2F chart, not because of the predictions, but the way it colors the post having stuff, we're kind of like out of that window of most bullishness historically. But the good news is hash rate's being added like crazy every day, which means the halving is going to be slightly sooner than mid 2024. I think it's March 2024 now, but it may be even December 2024 or 2023. Like, how crazy would that be if halving gets pushed up that soon? So something to look forward to. You know,
2 years from now, we can be bullish again.
I'm just saying, like, if this does, like, you know, a lot of us were here in 2018 and that didn't look super great, and look where we are now. You know, look at us now, Ma.
All right, you know what? I'm buying gold. You guys were right. I have to wait 2 years on Bitcoin. I'm buying gold.
Hey, preserve your buying power in gold. Wait till Bitcoin's obvious, and then go all in Bitcoin. What's so hard about it? Just do it. You know, just don't have FOMO. Don't look at whatever's moving. Leave like 5 or 10% of your portfolio, and you know that you can swing around in crypto, get your jollies up. But you're like risked off with 80-90% of your portfolio until it's obvious, and then when it's obvious, go win. That's basically my plan, except for I've got more at stake that I've kept in crypto. I'm just trying to keep flexible.
I like it. Good ending word, I think.
All right. Thanks for being here. Josh, thank you for participating on Weekly Open. We'll see everybody next time. Oh, gosh, I ruined it. I pressed another button, too. What am I doing? Oh, no, it's working. It's working. Here we go.
We're good.
Now we're good. Sorry.
First
Sorry.
talk, guys. First talk.
Yeah, weeklyopen.com/FTX. Make a trade there directly from one asset to the other. Track your portfolio, earn yield, do all those good things. 0 fees, of course, while you're at it. on the FTX app, weeklyopen.com/FTX. Thanks so much. Talk to you later.